Sheets guy all the way.
I actually don't know what wall way, but shoes.
I gotta say wall.
Hey yo, what it do? What it do? It's your boy Q. We're back with some more PIEA action powered by the esports company, and we're wrapping up our conference championship action over here at DeSalle University. D1 Valorant, one more title, one more champion to crown. Got the homie Monkey Man here with me. Monkey Man, how you feeling today, big dog?
You know, it's always a fantastic time to be with you in the booth, Q, and of course, seeing some D1 action. Valorant seems to be one of our highest competitions in terms of the people that are good, the students that are prepared, and the programs that are ready are at their most elite form, and I feel like that we're going to be seeing a lot of that today.
CB South has an opportunity to do something that has never been done before in PIEA or even TEC history, and that's have 4 conference champions in the same semester. We saw their Rocket League D1 take home the championship. Marvel Rivals took home the championship. Their D2 Valorant took home the championship, and now they're looking to complete their sweep in the Valorant action, earning their 4th crown. And for Lower Moreland, they're looking for a shot at redemption for a little brother who fell short in that D2 action.
This is also a reigning champion. This is the spring D1 champion that was able to take it to CB South in that grand final. They did it in 2-0 form. In fact, they didn't allow CB South to get more than 3 rounds per each of those 2 games in that best of 3 in the spring. So you know that the Titans, they got the job done in D2. That's fantastic. Lower Moreland looked like they had some work that still needed to be done, but that was D2. D1 is a different part of the atmosphere. We are trying to break orbit, get beyond, and go to the stars. The Titans have some work to be done. If I am to believe that we're going to get beyond the Lions, and the Lions, I mean, they've just got to keep up the legacy.
Looking to keep up their legacy indeed. We've got a best of 3 here today to be able to crown a champion. We're going to be going to Bind, Haven, and then if needed, we will be off to Abyss. So a nice fun slate. I feel like you look at the first 2, right? Kind of some tried and true maps, ones that we see feels like every week over here at PIEA. Abyss, however, for a decider, could make things spicy.
It's 50-50. You have to deal with a lot of elongated rotations, as well as the ability to kind of hit anything at will. And whereas a lot of those immediate points of entry from mains are very funnel, well, then you have so many flanks that can happen. You talk about how that map has also changed up a lot, but we'll save that conversation for if we even get there, because I don't want to waste my breath. I don't want to waste my time, but it's really complicated to have to handle Abyss. But let's go over to something that's far more simplified in its own way. Bind, teleporters. Basically, you have 2 lanes per, and a couple of them are very much in your face. Here you go. You get B long, you get hookah, or you get short and you get shower. Short is where a lot of teams end up finding speed. We've seen it off of Viper Brim combinations, and we've also seen it with what Drago is actually floating over with that neon. Want to see if that sticks.
Something that's interesting here, and I wanted to get your opinion on this. We see that there are 2 players over on the D1 roster for CB South who we actually casted in that D2 championship. Do you feel like it helps to have a complete new 5, like the way that Lower Moreland does? That way, like for practice purposes, you are able to say, like, take your D1 squad, scrimmage against the D2 squad, and kind of get that synergy? Or do you think that kind of talks to speak a little bit about what we can expect from Wrong Long and Wagyu, 2 players who had a lot of impact in that D2 championship?
I think if you're talking about from a developmental standpoint, it is nice to have a fresh 5 per division, really kind of have your JV, your varsity, whatever you want to call it, per upper level and lower level across your titles. But veteranship and the ability to play at a high level is really well spent into this game based on the style and as well as the skill set of a player. Wagyu and Ronglong were insane in that D2 matchup. And we were talking about the expansion of CB South and having not just 1, but 2 teams competing into Valorant. It looks like they did that off of the back of having some shared players between D1 and D2. It's a fresh set of 5 here for D1 on the Lower Moreland side for the Lions, and they want to get a little bit trickier as well. They're going to be going with complicated onto the deadlock to, instead of having flat face camera and information, they're going to go for the straight up denial and dismay, especially if you get those sonic strikes stunning people as if they try to get too fast, which may play directly into the favor of the Lions, considering that the Central Bucks South Titans went with a neon and they want to be quick.
Both teams definitely looking like they want to be the ones to be able to control the pace of the server. You and I talked about it during the D2 matchup, and something tells me we're going to see something similar during this D1 matchup. Two teams who are used to being the alpha dogs, so to speak, of the server. This first map is about control. Who's going to be able to control the pace of things? For Central Bucks South, they will start on the attacking side, so they will be the ones who at least be the ones who are playing more proactive. And for right now, they'll find that first pick from Wrong Long and Showers.
Keynote, Lower Moreland actually came in as the 2nd seed, and had the greatest round differential. I wonder exactly what went crazy and sideways with that. Drago gets rid of Me Gustas. So a quick Spanish lesson, and suddenly the Titans are trying to be able to get this plant off, but they're being caught from off angle. Drago is just standing where they want to be. It's a 1v1. They know they got to get rid of that, but they don't got to do nothing. They're going to get a plant after the fact, and Drago just hits them with the squat rack.
That is just filthy to be able to be stuck there and say, hey, you know what? My draw is better than your draw. And first round on the board as we do watch that first little bit of replay on back. And man, oh man, is that hopefully is a little bit of an indicator of what we're in for here over the course of these next 3 maps.
Remember, even if you're caught in the net, that doesn't guarantee anything when it comes to fire rate. It still is fast. I always wondered why it doesn't hinder fire rate when you're stuck in a squat, but I figure, you know, you already can't move anywhere. Guess might as well keep your hand on the trigger finger, or well, trigger finger on whatever. Central Bucks South. Gonna get quick with it in round number 2.
Following behind the Prowler is Drago. Will chase them down into that little U-Haul area. Now looking to try and find a way to get the spike down. And it's a quick call to go through the teleporter. And I love this call because now the site on B is wide open. Artie's going to get the spike down. And not only that, but you do have your chamber on the lurk. Wrong Long finds a first.
And Complicated had been drawn off site to try and make that flank through Marketplace, so they are completely out of position. They have to take this one from a north and south from the hookah, as well as from defensive side main. XZ have multiple targets they have to deal with. They throw that grab net, but still Artie wins that fight. Heck of a flip by XZ. Can they do it twice? No. Drago continues to be unkillable right now as Me Gustas saying they like you and they want their potatoes fried as 2v2.
Drago has the ghost in hand. Drago was the magic maker in the first round. Will be the last one left alive here. Looks to be able to pick up the base, finds the headshot on the one. There's no more time. It doesn't matter the fact that PIEA, Scotty will be able to take down Drago. They will still fold to the spike. And Central Bucks South takes those first 2 rounds.
You know, upgrading into D1 after you got to see the D2 championship, I was wondering what kind of pace play was going to change. And I mean, Drago is definitely utilizing this neon to full effect, being not only able to engage at a moment's notice, but also being able to get in and get out. They take down Me Gustas, and then it was all about just playing for some extra time, and they kept the Lions from being able to get that re-hit. But that was their try at getting a bonus round, and it's all going to be saves from across both sides of the board. You have a little bit of extra power up from Lower Moreland. Oh my goodness, XZ! Turn to Wagyu into absolutely crispy beef.
That is nasty to be able to land the first. Artie will be able to even up the numbers with theirs. And now Drago looking to play aggressive. Turns the corner, going to be able to find one. But XZ will find 2 more along with Me Gustas to make that a 4K here for XZ as Lower Moreland gets their first round on the board.
Yeah.
So there's a line on most maps where you know where the head is going to float. That's how these players train. They go to aim labs. They get that pixel right there. Next, he's like, all right, my gun is in the form of a scythe. And they just cut through the throat. Wow. Fantastic work from out of XZ. Getting me hype here through a round number 3, and Lower Moreland turn this into a neurotypical 2-1. But the rest of it has to go a different direction. That was a save from out of the south. So we'll see this one as a true rifle round comes up here in round 4.
Continue to compound down some momentum over on that lower Moreland side. Does look like they've got the read over towards A, as that's where CB South is lined up. Some shots through the smoke will let them know they're good to stay here. Hear the dart come in. Doesn't look like that's going to find any information, though. Does that maybe give CB South a false sense of security? Instead, Obialas, the Silva's going to be able to find a pair, and CB South's really in a tough spot.
Actually, looking like Drago for a second, as they do get rid of Drago, but Wagyu eventually has to assert themselves. Remember, we talked about that veteranship being brought over, but it doesn't matter, as Lions now will get the fair share of some of these buys. They put the Titans into the bucket. So what ends up being what they got to do with this? This is gonna be another rifle round. After this one, if it goes kind of strange for CB South, then it will not be where they want to be. That's an operator in the hands of XC. And so far, they've been hitting headshots. Can't imagine the kind of damage they're gonna do with a boomstick like that.
Yeah, XC definitely not someone I'd be wanting to find myself in the crosshairs of. In round number 5 here, and unfortunately for CB South, looks like there's 2 players who are going to be going towards Fountain. Could very well find themselves put down quick here. Is for now complicated. We'll be looking to hold them off over at Hookah. Shot rings out from XC's operator, but it does not find its mark.
Get out the mesh wall and at least make things difficult and loud to have to bust in through this garden side. And that's the one draw and flaw about having to work off of that operator and being deeply implanted from that long position, is if you miss that shot, you better be prepared to get away, and that tailwind did not save them. So great job getting rid of that operator, making it a non-factor. But you have both of the sonic sensors ready to receive anyone that wants to come in from a hookah position. Central Buck South needs to keep themselves frosty and on a swivel to possibly rotate away, but there's an anchor back over towards A as well.
Not ready yet.
Starting to run out of time if they do want to pivot over towards A. It looks like the green light's been given, and full send it is. Ovalioso will be able to find one. Wagyu finds a pair, as does Drago. And again, a big quick round, this time in favor of CB South. It's all up to Migustas to see if they can stop this round from going in favor of CB South.
Ooh, a half flash. Seeing them too. Migustas has their pain shells, trying to clear some extra space. They isolated him. Look how low Drago is. Both players from the Titans. Suddenly, this is so winnable. They have to play on a cross. Force this one to come away from Migustas. They have to make that play, and they can drop in from window. They're going to hear them if they can be able to get from that box. Migustas doesn't have a lot of health either. Still, it's going to be about first contact. Can they see them? They at least get a footstep, but they cannot land contact. Wagyu, they'll hold their nerve, and they hold sight just long enough.
I liked the idea from Migustas too, and would have loved to have seen that run back on the highlight had they been able to pull it off. But for the Titans, a big bounce back round. You had mentioned how they weren't going to be looking at a very favorable buy heading into round number 6 had they dropped it. And even with it being a rather expensive round, I mean, only one player able to carry over the rifle, it's still not necessarily a full buy. Some half shields, and they're still going to have to really make sure that they find this first pick, or at least find themselves a couple of dinks.
They do have a slight eco advantage over Lower Moreland, but this is an indicator of how scrappy this is going to be. This is a CB South squad that went 3-2. They were the 4th seed coming into this, defeated the number 1 from, I believe, Garnet Valley, who actually had faced off against Lower Moreland in the spring and fell on their ultimate run to being a state champion. So this time around, you've got to do something different as Central Bucks. But you do have that first blood, as they've been able to get the Lions from out of the den, trying to be able to get a scan out to see if anyone's coming through the smoke, but they're pretty spread out. No one's present on B.
Looks like it's gonna be a quick pivot through the teleporter as well, and can't blame them for that. I mean, there was everybody stacked up over onto A. Drago look to help secure the site on down. The spike taking a minute though to get put down, which does mean the rotate having a little bit more time to come through, but it's going to be a full guap of 4 of them who are going to be pushing through B Hall. Drago could really put a dent into this push.
They also have that orbital strike if they really got to utilize it. They're one away from having the overdrive. Drago from just off of this angle. Complicated, gets rid of Potato. Oh, they didn't complete the first kill. Doesn't matter. They now have the overdrive online if they need it, but it doesn't matter. Wrong Long finds 3 in a hurry. Apolioso and Scotty. It will drop out from that doorway, and that's the difficulty of not having a secondary option when that rotational flex goes towards B. Because of the way the bind is created, you either have to take the longest path possible to be able to get that flank, or you expose yourself to go through teleporter. And if they stick to their guns and stay through only the defensive side spawn, it becomes, all right, who do I see? Can I win that gunfight?
For CB South, they're now going to be up by 2 and have a little bit more favorable buy heading into this one, and they'll look to try and break the bank from Lower Moreland. I do believe they're able to pull off this one. It should help them out as far as that buy from the Lions side of things. And we are, halfway through this first half. It feels like CB South have definitely came with a game plan. They've been able to stick, for the most part, to it. However, I think the big thing that's kind of, when you compare this to, say, like the D2 matchup we watched, is it does feel like CB South's, the rounds that they're winning, they've been really pressured and they've been tested a lot more.
Oh, a whole lot more. But look how much, well, actually, I guess we're kind of in a full pause as we wait out this round and possibly a reset for what comes next. So we'll be chilling for all of a second as we get this one prepared and ready to go. So as we kind of come to what is basically a tech pause, but also kind of a timeout of sorts, Lower Moreland, they bounce back really in a big way to go to the initial rifle round of that round number 4. But since then, we've seen, all right, what can we use off of versatile change-ups of sight hits? We saw it from that B rotation, knowing when they could be able to pounce. Even when they had off of that first blood from that B long and getting rid of XC, who was starting to burn really, really hot, chase him down, but don't immediately try to take over sight, then snowball pounce. And Wrong Long Wagyu have been impactful, but we got to give a lot of credit to the mainstays of this D1 squad. And I mean, Drago has been looking like a menace. That's where so much of this also comes in between Drago as well as XC, but does look like that we're going fresh into round number 7.
Let's get into it. XZ has the knives in hand, and well, we'll send just one of them off towards showers. It doesn't find its mark, and Opolioso is able to find themselves one. For Lower Moreland, they do a great job of holding off this first initial push, and now with the mesh wall, you wonder if maybe that's enough to cause the CB South squad to potentially rotate towards B.
You can wait it out. The one thing about this wall is it does have an open lane for them to twist out, and I mean, you're gonna have to be watching that, because even if this kind of blocks the way to keep completely onto site, you can still be shot through that. So got to be careful. But CB South has dropped 2 players. I can't presume that they would hyper invest in overdrive or otherwise. They're gonna try and take this one from the lamps, but now it's just waves crashing against the rocks. XE will use up their entire blaze storm. Potato Stalker and Wrong Long will find some kills. Potato Stalker living just long enough. They've got 8 HP, and it's definitely a dream.
At least they got the regenerative shield, I guess, right? That's at least the positive. You get a little bit more, but it's not going to feel like it's near enough. You've got to have darn near perfect aim when they jump out of this window. If you are a Potato Stalker, I like the angle that they're taking here. Kiosk Scotty, first look. Let's shut them down. You send at least the fault line through. That does stun them for just a moment. I'm not sure, though, if giving away your location was worth it, because Scotty is going to be able to turn around, put you down. That's going to be Lower Moreland, get a 3rd round.
Those are big clutch or kick style ultimates when you use them that way, but I mean, you had a timing moment where they weren't seen immediately from off of that corner angle, and it all came down to do you try, do you don't? And now that weapon is off the table. The good news is they do have an overdrive orbital strike and basically all the things that you can still make kind of solo impact plays from CB South. Lower Moreland, I mean, a great job just being able to receive and not, dying out from some of that contact that was coming in towards truck. And they had gotten the job done early with 2 first bloods straight from the rip. Showstopper and extra life for the Lions can make them bounce back. This has been 2 for 2 for 2, and I mean, the next 2 could be on the way to equalize.
Ooh, first shot from Migustas, too, is filthy. Takes down Drago, and that's a big first pick to find for the Lions. And it does look like the spike is kind of more defaulted back, as they still look to be able to seek out a little bit of information before they decide where they want to rotate their attention. XZ will be able to find Wagyu. Well, now you're in a position where you're probably going to look to send this thing towards A, but you don't have much information. You don't really know which way you want to go with it.
I love that deep cut angle into garden because you're expecting them to be kind of outside of the doorway, not the interior of the arch. And so when you're looking off over into that cubby side from that tube on B site, it's just not at all where you're expecting that to be. So again, it's a -2 position against CB South. There's not really a clear path for victory for them to go any which way, because if they go over towards B, you have the full bundle that is going to come from the Lions. They have to walk into these sonic sensors. Megustas is getting some easy kind of visual information. This feels like it's kind of cooked from the beginning.
It definitely doesn't feel like it's a situation you would like to be in, but doesn't feel like you really have very many other options. And Complicated is going to be able to take down Artie and Opolioso. Man, that is a mouthful. Let me tell you what. I was able to find theirs as well, which means Long is the last one left alive, is stuck over in showers, and is just going to simply save for this rifle. Sometimes, unfortunately, the right decision isn't the most fun, but it is indeed the right decision.
I've seen, especially when we saw that the 5-3 that was presented onto A site, I've seen from the highest form of VCT and like any other kind of like pro tier, as soon as you see an unenterable position like that, a lot of teams are like, you know what, saving. That's like even a 3-5. And at this level, and at what these teams have been able to do, especially into D1, wouldn't have been surprised if they decided to kind of keep to that, because that early first blood with Drago, it's not like there's a dependency to have their Neon online, but losing them and Wagyu, you had no active information and no ability to aggress. The only thing that you could have done is use your Sky Smokes to create basically voluminous space. So gonna see how much they're able to dictate this, but it's been 2-2-2-2. Someone's got to find the odd number here.
Who's going to be able to continue to turn the tides, and who's just maybe going to be able to make sure that they get themselves an actual lead at the midway point. Megustas too. Here's the footsteps on the other side. Surely the step up the box, though, is Potato Stalker going to be able to find theirs, at least before being taken down by the Sova. A number is still tied up even at 4v4.
The Annihilation already got used, so they couldn't go fishing. Didn't matter because they killed them straight up from the boxes. This is a preparation to possibly free up space onto an A-site swing. They have the spike at the teleporter, and Long has their tour de force to take out anyone who's got that angle. Oh my goodness, Exy turned into paste.
Check him's PC. What a flick of the wrist to be able to find that one. What a shot from Long. Just to step out in the crosshairs from Complicated, who finds not one, not two, but three of them things, leaving Drago, the last one left alive here for CB South. It has to find their way over towards Showers if they want to make a play for the spike. For now, just going to look to make the miracle play 1v3.
Everything went wrong in a short way.
Bad move. Go, go, go.
Drago, you're a Neon. You've got to play quirky. You've got to expect that someone is also behind you, and Apolioso is there to make sure that they forget. Put them back to the respawn timer, and now it will be the Lions taking the lead away from them as they take 3 in a row.
The first lead, matter of fact, for the Lions here is on the day. We'll see if they can continue to carry that across through the end of the first half. One more round of win at least guarantees themselves a share of things. You mentioned the 2-2-2. Oh, maybe a chance to potentially put 4 in a row over on that lower Moreland side. That flick from Long. Watching that Big Mac was filthy, though, let me tell you.
Central Bug South, what do they have? They have an overdrive that's been cooking for a while in the hands of Drago. And an orbital strike that is still available. Potato Stalker, I mean, when you have kind of a raw check style initiator from your breaches, I mean, that's about all you got. Oh, getting shocked from off of your own grav net. They're going to use that mesh net to try and just at least keep things kosher. That's going to be an orbital strike that's used immediately. Not dead yet from Scotty. And now they chase him with Odin's Lair. They're going to have another life left to go, and Scotty is looking for right clicks to kill.
Oh, got too aggressive through the smoke, so gives one over to Artie. Artie now has 2 pressing through the smokes. Megustas 2, though, will eventually find the Eddie. I think was more barrel stuffing than anything. But it will indeed be 4 rounds in a row here for this lower Moreland squad as the Lions look to roar.
Taking those 4 in a row, 6-4. We go through 10 now, 11-5 as Apolioso quietly getting themselves to the top of the ladder. I feel like we've had a lot more highlights that have come through in recency from XC and from Complicated, and we're getting that solid 3K to completely snuff out that A-site swing. But Apolioso staying consistent. We've seen that from our initiators thus far. There's still a showstopper in the back lines of Lower Moreland. Scotty sees contact. They throw out a ruse. They don't want to be part of this. And again, Complicated finding the numbers.
Oh, maybe just a little too aggressive here from Drago, though. Steps right on through, and Scotty able to take them down as Lower Moreland really seem to be taking control of things. That is now 5 rounds in a row for this Lower Moreland squad as they put themselves up to 7.
This is giving us spring vibes, I would have to say. This is exactly the kind of form that Lower Moreland, once they figure out how you're trying to operate, they start just completely tearing down your entire, I guess, idea brick by brick. So the fortress of mind from the Titans is now in shambles, trying to scrounge up a 7-5 after having the lead early on in 4-2 form. Showstopper and Annihilation just to scare off people if they really need to use it, and an ultimate in sight here for Central Buck South. Bang.
Like Z tries to take a quick pop shot with the operator. Think might have given him a haircut. Magustas 2 finds the first, and a second shot of the op also failing to find its mark. Drago is able to put themselves into a spot to play aggressive off of the back of that rolling thunder. However, they can't find the frag.
Showstopper rocket goes over the head. Magustas 2, and now it's just all of one man caught in the webs. Flawless round for the Lions. 8-4 is how it goes. Can you see it? 6 rounds in a row for Lower Moreland. What a way to bite back against the Titans. Everything going sideways as soon as they started finding who they got to kill first.
Yeah, the wheels kind of fell off of the fell off the car in the back half of that first half, didn't they? My goodness, it felt like this was back and forth, and now all of a sudden they've got twice your score. The good news, you're heading into the pistol round. You win that in the following round, it doesn't feel so out of reach or out of hand if you are CB South. The problem? Oh, now you're on the defensive side. You're kind of at the mercy of the pace that Lower Moreland decide to play.
Central Bucks, the way that they had advantage in the beginning of game, or at least the first half, was the aggressive tendencies that Drago was throwing out as a neon. And all of that became null, especially once XE got activated. XE, though, is on the ground as Drago and already finding big value of getting rid of both of their duelists. So Lower Moreland is suddenly stuck at the door here in Showers.
Drago's going to step up forward and maybe a little overly aggressive as they are able to give away their location. Complicated sprays through the smoke.
One enemy remaining.
However, Wagyu is going to be able to hold their aim and be able to find one to their aim. It will still be Opalioso, who is the last one left alive for Lower Moreland. Has the spike in hand along with the Sheriff. A Prowler chasing after him, and well, now with their location given away, they surely have to expect the flank, right?
Maybe. But Apolioso has a lot more complicated things to have to deal with, and that's isolating 3 separate fights. So regardless, they're going to have to head tap wherever they're going to be coming from. But also, I think they're just going to hold that angle from backside and not let Apolioso get a free run out. They know Wagyu is just nearby. They saw the elbow. Get at least one. Can you get the plant off? They're going to let it happen. Apolioso has a chance to do the craziest thing right now.
There's 100 HP. Can you make it work? Sheriff in hand. Now it is up to CB South, who has to make the play. And Apolioso can maybe make one in their own right, but it's Artie who's able to put them down and find the defuse as well. CB South look to get back to their winning ways.
Consolation prize, to be honest, considering that they were locked at Showers as soon as they lost both of their duelists, XE and Magustas going down, and being able to get the plant off and then find a few of those kills is actually huge. So 14-7 is Apolioso staying consistent and 2.0 KD. So Lower Moreland knows, hey, you know what? Good job. That pistol, a little bit squirrely. Totally okay. Central Buck South feels like they absolutely needed that. They did not want to let this get to a 9 and suddenly find themselves on the back step of seeing double digits come up much more quickly here for the Lions. Did I just see an Ares? It's been a long time since I saw their weapon.
Well, their rounds have come into thus far, and generally when you win the pistol, you expect to win the one after. So hopefully Central Buck South is going to be able to do the same thing here and move themselves to within 2. It does look like Lower Moreland, however. It look to quickly push down B along, and the pivot call is going to come in here. Now the question is, what does XZ do? Because they could take the long lurk. There could be the slower play, but instead it's a pivot through the portal. And I like this because you still have your player left over on A. XZ can really push forward and buy space and time.
That was an overt rotation. We'll talk about that in a second, because right now it's just going to come down to West Side Story snapping. $100 South exposing their vulnerability of rotating a little bit early, but Wrong Long is just going to try and prove through gunplay that it doesn't matter. Hit a stalker. Well, that cleared the board. I was a little concerned because they hit the go button real hard. No anchor left behind to A, and that's when XE was like, yo, they're not here. Come through. But knowing that they had the weapon buy-up advantage, maybe they're like, we'll get aggressive. We'll just free flow like fluid on the table and see if we can be able to chase down the Lions.
Well, you mentioned how flawless that last round looked. I was about to say if they don't invest up anymore, they could really make this a big bonus. I think I saw them reinvest on some shields, and can't necessarily say I blame them in that regards. Also Wrong Long investing up for the rifle. More I think about it, I was going to say they could really bonus up, but I guess if you are at the point where you're behind by 2 here, you might as well give yourself the best chances with an investment, right?
I mean they're bonusing up because they had everything carried over, and they have like 1 extra weapon, so there was at least 1 judge, I think the one that we're looking at right now. So give yourself the versatility of changing out for an AR if you can. This is a neat position as well. I love being such a rat right here outside of window, so they can be able to get first contact, but still getting slow. They know someone is nearby from off of that tag. Who might it be? Unable to find out. Right behind them. Gotta be able to kill them. You can see they get a couple as Scotty responds in kind. It becomes a 1 versus 3.
And Migustas 2, I think, also found 2 here. So Wagyu will be the last one left alive in a 1v3, and a tough situation to be in because they're going to waste about 12 of the seconds purely on the rotation itself, and will now have to peer through a window. And always a tough position to find yourself in. If you take the full trek on down, you have that small little stun. It makes it a little easier to be able to put down, but also not just that. There's so many angles to have to clear, so little time. Eventually, you have to play aggressive and guess right. Not going to be able to do so this time as Wagyu. Migustas 2 allows Lower Moreland to get up to 9.
Good post-plant discipline from out of the Lions as well. Going into your cubby, letting one person kind of walk around and check some of those deeper lanes as well from the defensive side spawn. And then as soon as you have them swing around, just like you mentioned, it's kind of a 50-50 shot. And the ability to respond in a moment's notice as soon as you're wrong. And that's what dictates so much success and failure in Valorant is, all right, what do I think the tendency here is? Am I going to look at this one or the other one? Am I going to get caught from behind, or do I got him in my sights?
Off to round 16 is PIEA. Scotty going to be able to find the first. Takes down Wagyu. That's a big first pick as now Drago looks to back down, but will not be able to find their way off the site in time. And that means now going to be playing 2 people short. Here are the Titans. It is going to be the big old Odin in hand for Potato Stalker, trying to avoid the Roomba. It's going to be able to at least find themselves some safety for now.
Potato Stalker is running more backwards than they are forwards, having to avoid pretty much everything. They do get the Odin to land on target. That Odin has done great things to win world championships in the right hands.
Smoke's down.
Artie's going to try and at least slam down a couple Sky Smokes, but they're separated from their teammate. I think their teammate is the only one left. As Scotty and Complicated are simplifying the game to survive from out of the Lions. They are 3 off from taking this first map.
First up in double digits are the Lions. You mentioned 3 away from getting that first map point onto the board. Again, keeping in mind, best of 3 is the way that we've been doing throughout our playoffs here at PIEA. CB South has been able to at least find themselves pairs of rounds at a time. They would really do themselves a favor from being able to do so here. However, it felt like when Lower Moreland on the offensive side, they just played at a pace that CB South has been struggling to contain.
My territory.
Hit this one until it breaks. Annihilation trying to chase them. Artie is stuck in lamps, and that's exactly where they'll be plastered. A silhouette of their body will be left behind the electroshock therapy that Hunter's Fury. That Nightfall used in earnest to identify a few targets. Apolioso goes down. Potato Stalker at least was able to start throwing them in the vat. That's a great sliding by Drago. Drago got one. They now have to continue to go after at least them, but no, the turnaround by Chow Scotty. Oh, they were being ran down in those fast fleet of feet, but Drago was the one that was turned into the obstacle.
Able to stay cool, calm, and collect despite the fact that they were being chased down. They turned themselves around, find the heady, and put Lower Moreland up to 11. 1 round away from being 1 round away. For Lower Moreland, again, their offense has been pretty solid, and on the attacking side, they've been finding a lot of success pushing over towards A. It looks like they're going to continue doing the same old thing here in round 18.
Since the first 6 rounds, we've only seen Central Bucks able to acquire 2 more, whereas it has been now 9, a -7 against them. That's all been in favor of the Lions. Huge in terms of basketball, if you want, but even more in terms of Valorant, considering how much time it takes to really kind of get this one going. We're on a tech pause for right now, so chilling until the beginning of this one goes. And I mean, I feel like some of this kit that's also available for Central Bucks has the ability to re-hit really well, but the problem is that they've also been falling out on the aggression that they usually were banking on to really kind of set the personnel difference of the round. You've got the overdrive, you've got the rolling thunder, and you have that orbital strike. They can create space, they can take back space, and I feel like Drago has been very conservative about when they pop their ultimate.
Yeah, it feels like, whoa, excuse me. It feels like they have really lost their bite since that first long run that Lower Moreland went on. Even when things were going back and forth, they were playing with a sense of confidence over on that CB South side, which after that run from the Lions has basically been non-existent. They will be able to find the first opening pick here, however, in round 18. Wrong Long also going to be able to take down Complicated. However, the question becomes, where's the spike? They've been able to find picks on both sides, and well, now the question for Lower Moreland is how quickly can I find my way on A?
I like that aggressive play, the 3 Buckies, I believe, from out of CB South, moving up into short, and then they got a weapon out of their hands. And then I was a little confused as to why you walk up all the way B long with Complicated and an op. You just gave that over to the chamber. Oh. Crazy plays. Drago is able to change it out as Megustas does at least find Wagyu. The plant is down, but the numbers are clearly right now in favor of the Titans.
Yeah, Scotty has the pair of ults getting sent their way. Oh, hold on just a second. Apolioso had a chance to turn around the round, but wrong along with the operator in hand. Will be able to be the Magic Man here in round 18. Does enough to be able to win the Thrifty. However, while it is a thrifty round, it was still also kind of an expensive round. They're only going to be able to carry over the op.
I mean, they stole the op from Complicated, and they also they invested the orbital strike and the rolling thunder that have kind of been very hit or miss, but pretty impactful for clearing a lot of space and getting that super wombo combo kill. Tons of love again over to Apolioso, who eventually had to be struck in the Scullioso from that op strike from Wrong Long. So we'll see if that will be anywhere near impactful for having to deal with that sniper moving over towards A. Does feel like the default is here. They didn't set up for this though. So Wrong Long is going to play from the low side of Tetris. They're just going to throw out at least to deny the early pickup from that truck. Wrong Long is showing that push-up by Complicated earlier is starting to have resonance.
Wrong Long going to be able to find a second here as well, and Apolioso was a big one to find this time around. XZ still in U-Haul with that sheriff in hand, or not sheriff, the judge in hand. I think here's the footsteps on the other side, is waiting for the perfect chance to strike. Drago will turn their back to him for now. The spike has been down for a while. The question is, when do you make your move?
I'm out of here.
They know they're basically all stuck into one side. They're just trying to clear from every single angle. XZ waiting it out. You've got Negustas with that
One
showstopper.
enemy remaining.
What else can be
Last
done?
player
Negustas,
standing.
oh, they've turned into a memory. You've got to be able to find this strike. It's an op, and it's a big old shred of shrapnel, and that's always going to win the day. They will take their weapon back from Ronglong, and they do so getting match point.
Match point.
Match point, you get your op back, you're able to get to safety. You can't really ask for much more from Complicated there, and a pretty solid way to secure what looks like should be a favorable round for you. Not quite a full buy over on the Central Buck side. Ronglong will be, no, won't be Ronglong with the op. They'll actually be bringing the op into the hands of Artie, and I can only assume that's because the Tour de Force will also be coming into play.
We'll be going over towards that B-long position. Actually, they'll be playing from that tube side, waiting on Hookah. But XZ, they got the Blade Storm online, so there goes Artie. That ultimate was already out of the way. Overdrive is going to be left for just whenever Drago wants to use it. They don't want to have any dependency. And in fact, it looks like it's now good to go. So it's ultimate v ultimate with the kitchen knives being brought out of the drawer. You have all of one left, but the operator is here. Now you have no safety net because that extra aftershock is being used, and Complicated is landing boomstick shots from off angle.
Shot here in Lower Moreland. Only have to worry about Potato Stalker, who will take the walk into U-Haul, clears out the corners. Might be able to find themselves on the backside of Kiosk Scotty. Kiosk Scotty, though, turns right around, pops the head, and that's all it takes for Lower Moreland to win their first map here for our D1 championship.
Just as soon as we got beyond the first half of the first half and that first 6 rounds, everything turned up for Lower Moreland. Apolioso staying consistent the entire time, and Complicated had several clutch rounds getting multi-kills. I think it was anywhere from 2 to 3, where it looked like Central Bucks were turning the corner on kind of flipping the round dynamic. Just didn't let them do that. Megustas bringing up whatever they absolutely had to do to just stay scrappy in the middle of that fit. But this one, from being Drago on a heater, but the Lions recognizing what they have to do to shut down any given Neon and doing so in earnest to take this entire first map.
Yeah, it's hard to get a read on map number 1, if you ask me, right? Because like it was back and forth to start, kind of felt like they're at the end too. But when you look at the final score, the difference was that run that they went on to extend up to, what was it, 10-2 at the half, I think it was, right? If I'm remembering right. So unfortunately, just letting things get out of hand on the back half of the first half. But I think when you head over to Haven, which I do believe is their map pick, if I'm not mistaken, I think you've at least shown enough to be able to show that you can contend with this squad and hopefully force a map 3.
Honestly, that's going to be very interesting to see how they spread it out, because we got to see some of the little brothers fighting it out on Haven as their map number 1. And Lower Moreland didn't have a great identity then, but this is a completely different beast. This is looking like a Lions squad that's going to be very deeply entrenched to do what they gotta to take care of business. So we're going over to map number 2 and seeing if the identity will change. Already auto locking in an Omen. You get an Omen, you get a Breach. It feels like that combination just has never been bad. It's just about how you execute for it. But again, this is for the fall championship. You go to map number 2 and suddenly you're on the ropes. And XC changing from that jet over to the chamber with Complicated, considering actually that it looks like they're in the flex duelist role.
Gustav's too actually going to be bringing in the jet as well, right? So, I mean, I feel like for XZ going to get a chance to sit back a little bit more. I think that shows the depth of this Lower Moreland squad, the BL fact that they can kind of flex their roles and flex their agents a bit. However, you wonder, after just seeing how well kind of they did on their roles in map number 1, is this an Overcooked scenario?
I wouldn't think it's too much of one. Complicated definitely was in an estranged piece whenever they were playing Deadlock, because Deadlock is definitely, all right, let me set an immediate resistance and let me kind of put this to, all right, you're going to stumble over yourself into my sonic sensors. This is right back to the drawing board for at least for the Titans. So for the Titans themselves, I like the concept that they're going into at least this map with that agency pick, and it feels pretty par for the course, to be honest, even with the chamber being picked up. But this is a very aggressive defense when you look at the Yoru, who is going to be your kind of prototypical, let me flip this map and let me find some personnel to help out my teammates. But you have both the Jet and a chamber. I gotta wonder about the ability to make sure that Central Bucks doesn't kind of basically swarm you as one of those two different agents.
We'll have to see how it plays out for sure, especially because I feel like when you look at their composition, if you look at it, it almost feels as if they're set up more for the offensive side. So maybe just kind of holding on for dear life on defense, right? Seeing what kind of sort of finish line they can hold off here. But they've got quite a challenge with the Central Buck squad. It's going to be a tough road.
Well, it's got to be the beginning of a new road of success here for the Titans. And they're again going to start on attack. And it looks like that we want to have something a little bit different as they're going to be going straight into B. What's not different is multi-kills from Complicated. Complicated in that switch up from Deadlock over to Yoru gives them such a wider array of trickeration that they can use. Potato Stalker just trying to hold the line, but there's just too many players, too many guns, and too little, too late. That one goes by in a blitz.
I have survived more than they.
Blinking, you missed it. I was trying to keep track of it. And I'll be honest, even I couldn't. Lower Moreland quickly takes map number 1 and puts that, or sorry, map number 1, round number 1. And puts that onto the board and back off to that sort of streak that we saw them on to get things started in map number 1. They're able to carry things over. They'll also be able to buy up. Interesting, is that 3 outlaws? What am I seeing here?
Hey, you're seeing a lot of, They're basically anti-ecoing because they know that this is going to be a Titan squad that probably is going to low buy, maybe even not have light shields. So just some extra pistols. So they want the one touch go. So you have the Guardian, you got Outlaws, and you have a lot of space already taken by Complicated. So shot to the shoulder, there goes the Swede. Potato Stalker hitting the old frying bin. Everyone else is separated. Now they're gonna be on separate sites, trying to be able to add to the tally in total. But precision weapons absolutely will tear through a team that does not have any protection.
Call it cheese, call
One
it
enemy remaining.
whatever you want. It definitely seems to be working thus far. It'll be all up to wrong who tucks into the cubby, has a classic in hand. Complicated ends up chasing them down, and that'll be a second round on the board here for Lower Moreland as they're looking to get off to a hot start.
When you have a weapon that does 140 damage and a player that more than likely only has 100 to 125 HP plus armor, then you use the Outlaw. And when you have the Guardians that can do just as good precision damage for the most part and rapid fire, you know that Lower Moreland obviously is going to play aggressively into you. This time around, AR is a bot. I saw some half shields, so those Outlaws can still be impactful, and that means an investment could go on the negative side of stonks.
Scanning ahead.
We'll see if CB South is able to take this one in stride.
Valioso will have to back down based off of the fault line there, and well, it looks like it gives the space to Central Buck South to push all the way down C-Long. Green light given off of the fast lane here as well, and Potato Stalker will find the first. The spike also going to go down as well.
Spike planted.
Got this plant off, and you have one player that's literally all the way back to spawn, just making sure there's not going to be a lurker that comes through on that flank. Everyone is here, be it a window or link. And it's not going to be an easy entry one way or another, as CB South, I think, has this entire thing locked down. They do use the decoy to try and at least sight out one. Can't quite get him as they do have the little wiggle step. Scotty's able to find something, but this is going to be a miracle run, especially as they're popping out a window and now complete it. So a good kickback by the Titans. And this is a return to form, Q. Being aggressive, having pace, not letting Lower Moreland settle.
A big round there for them once the rifles come out to be able to win in the fashion that they do. Helps them stack a little bit of that cheddar back into their bank. So now looking to try and see if they can tie things up going into round number 4. Not quite a full buy over on that Lower Moreland side, just because rounds haven't been quite too clean for them. But I still feel like they'll be feeling pretty darn confident heading into things. Complicated, playing super aggressive, holding down C-Long, and we'll be able to get back just in time.
Yeah, it's in the nick of time. Again, it's those get out of jail free buttons. It used to be the tailwind, and then it became even more complicated as things went away. Talk about complicated. Dimensional drift.
Spike
You're gonna see
planted.
numbers everywhere, and boy, are there people to eat up. Scotty, though, is eating big today as they find 4. Complicated finds the last one to deny the ace. Doesn't matter, though. Did only one man drop out from the lines. This is a 3-1 start.
Or Moreland looking solid here to get things started. In map number 2, 3 of the first 4 rounds, you're able to control things once you get the rifles back into your hands. And I do believe they'll still have not quite a full buy over on that CB South side. They'll still also be just shy of any ults over on that CB South side as well, whereas Lower Moreland will at least have themselves one. It feels like after winning map number 1, all signs looking good for our Lions.
Right here.
I'm gonna give the tiniest bit of benefit of the doubt over to CB South for about 2 more rounds. We saw 4-2, and then Lower Moreland picked up in game number 1. Once we get to about that 6, I'm gonna start to either have my worries or my grounded sense of what this game is going to be. Complicated is showing that they are much more dynamic than what a deadlock allows you to be. Deadlock's like, all right, put sonic sensors down, throw a mesh, here we are. They were very picky about where they put their mesh walls when they did that onto bind, and they're also making sure to never present the same lane twice over to the Titans. Scotty, we'll see the jump peak. They didn't have to respond like that to show that they're at window, but that does at least force Central Bucks to now maybe march to B.
And maybe our hope was just kind of funnel them towards B. The only problem was XZ was the only player that was over there. They'll be able to find a pair, however, before getting traded out by Drago. PIEA Scotty has made their way over there to take Drago out of the picture, and well, they ain't able to find a second as well. Wagyu will be the last one left alive in a 1v3.
Unable to really move away from this position. Oh, and you get knifed. Me gustas too. They like stabbing you as Wagyu gets cut up like that Korean barbecue. So 4-1 now Central Bucks South. And, you know, what we had praised when we saw these 2 programs duel it out into the D2 championship is the amount of timeouts that were being taken. We've not seen that same presence of mind to control pace of the game. Now, there has been some tech timeouts at time in the previous, into the previous game, so that kind of replaced it. But same thing has not occurred at this point. And you got to wonder, if, especially because this feels like a half by eco situation out of Central Bucks, and they're playing it to a default. If they can get right back into a killer mindset, they find 2.
Start turning rounds around if you want to keep yourself in this. Last thing you want is it getting out of hand. Here in the first half, PIEA Scotty says, I ain't dead yet. Well, okay, maybe now I'm dead this time around as Drago puts them down. Me Gustas 2 will be the last one left alive up in heaven. Be 1 versus 5, able to take down Wagyu. Everyone sending bullets up towards heaven. Me Gustas 2 definitely not envious of their position.
Not dead yet, not dead till just a second later. That was a wild, they had just gotten out of ghost form too. Artie is super killable, but they're the ones that make Me Gustas 2 super dead. So 4-2. Okay. 4-2 one-way queue. 4-2 this way.
I'm pretty sure you could have thrown a bullet over at Artie and they would have been taken out there. That's how low they were. I think it was 1 HP in a dream. Unfortunately, though, Artie was the one who finds that final kill, and well, kill keeps them into the fight of things here. You mentioned 4-2. It feels so familiar. There's a chance that this is where CB South turns things around here, Monkey Man.
You could have made fun of Artie's like edgelord cowl and they probably would have died. That's the level. Me Gustas sees already 1 go flying by, so now they have to kind of lend their way back, and that's all of what makes Neon very dangerous. Drago knows that they just take them off position. Me Gustas turns into a flying stun pinata. Apolioso is taking on anyone that wants to be in their sights. They eventually get put to the ground by Wagyu, but not before the damage is done. But hold up, Complicated again, being a massive playmaker. They find a couple Me Gustas, will end that round off of a boom.
They had to have felt so confident stepping on to side, and Apolioso starts things off finding the 2, and then everything else just kind of falls apart from there. Lower Moreland are looking like they're cooking here on map 2.
5-2 in a moment where Central Bucks South, I thought they had the advantage. They had pinned them down. They had that ultimate. They used the Rolling Thunder, and man, it felt like it was by design. But again, two big moments of Polioso and Complicated. E1 squad for Lower Moreland, definitely built with consistency in mind. Complicated. Oh, Artie gonna outduel them when the gun was down.
Scatter. Before for now. Minute 22, still a lot of time to figure out what you want to do if you're Central Buck South. It looks like it's going to be a quick pivot over towards A. Polioso already on the flank, and they're going to be looking to go down this long ways here. XZ finding the first before being traded out by Artie, and they will kind of have an awkward pinch here as you do still have Polioso who's pushing in from that spawn side.
Polioso again finding a multi-numbers game, and then that one's filled out 6-2. Lower Moreland in control. 6-2. Central Bucks feels like they get there, they strike, but the game plan just doesn't have a settle point for them because Lower Moreland is not letting them have any level of breathing room. Complicated has done a great job of that. Polioso has done a great job of that. Just when you think, all right, I've cleared sight, I have this angle, I'm good to go, they're in your backline, they're ratting you. They're just off your angle, and you're like, wow, I can't, like, what's, like, let me play. And they're frustrating them. So Titans in a squirrely position as Lower Moreland guarantees they are no worse than the 6th this round.
They've been looking good so far, and you know, it was 2-2-2-2 last time. This time it's been 2-1, 2-1, 2. Is there a chance that they can find one over on that CB South side? They're looking to try and buy some room, but Lower Moreland just built different. XZ has the headhunter long, however, don't count them out yet as they found 2 of their 3 this round.
Oh, timing and long. As soon as the ruse goes down, Polioso is applying the pain. 7-2. Remember, it was a 13-3 ender in both games in the state championship between Lower Moreland and CB South, and they struck down the Titans then. We got to see a map 1 that was looking promising, but after the first 6, it went out the window. For CB South, this time around, it's been such a tougher map to have to kind of reconvert. You've got round number 10. They've got to get their way to a 7-5. I've got to see a spark of life because Lower Moreland is just controlling every aspect of this matchup.
If they've been able to control the pace, so Polioso is going to find a pair to start off round number 9 as well. Complicated looking to back down before Artie steps through and finds their first. But right now, they're split up. They have to make a decision. It looks like they're going to pivot and rotate all the way over toward... No, not all the way over towards C. It does look like actually jumping through the window. Scotty sees him, but quickly gets put down.
Lower Moreland. Oh boy, trying to just get this one complete. Negustas too. That's XE. This will drop out just as they kind of try to blind fire. Oh my god, creating a silhouette. Wrong Long will win it out on the pistol. What can be done as Potato Stalker is deep into that corner, very, very hurt, but you're a Polioso. See if you can be able to get a blind fire as they try to twist and turn from off of that corner. This is a great read to just get out of there. Polioso knows they could either long swing over to B. Oh, do they catch him? They've got a fish somewhere in this barrel. Do they get him? They do because of 1v1.
20 seconds left, and now the question becomes, do you prioritize waiting for the duel, which eventually happens, or do you try and go for the spike? It looks like Wrong Long will be looking back towards
10 seconds left.
spawn. Knows that that's where Polioso is stepping from, but Polioso will wait for Wrong Long. Wrong Long says it doesn't matter. Turns and puts them down and gets a 3rd round on the board for CB South.
Such a necessary round because I think you and I can agree if that did not drop into the bucket for the Titans, this one was going to go away.
Yeah.
So, all right. Better position, better place, and they're making expenditures occur for the Lions. Still got some bank. Not exactly in a powerful wake that you would expect for Lower Moreland, considering that they're in a 7-3 position. It's been very scrappy. So Central Buck South have the ability to bounce back. They have a Nightfall if they want to activate from it to try and at least get themselves walked up. Drago with first blood, that initial fault line to put them off angle. Polioso then stepping back out. Drago was ready.
It's complicated. Gonna look to play aggressive with the dimensional drift. Drops right in. Looks to give all of the information. Already is gonna take down Kiosk. Scotty. Complicated. Gonna be looking to put themselves into the mix, but Long puts them right back down. Eustace too, the last one left alive. A flawless round here for CB South, as the Titans still got that fight left in them.
Last round before the switch. Don't look back.
We got ourselves at least a ball game. Central Bucks South not getting washed out. 11-8-7. Scotty has been basically allowing his entire team to flourish. But Lower Moreland, that initial bite that you had kind of mentioned before from out of the Titans, it had gone down to a nibble. It had gone down to, are you chewing like a goat? This time around, they now have the incisors up on them. Can they continue to sharpen that axe that they want to grind into the Titans, or the Titans smack their way back into it? They've got from the shadows to reconvene and remap this entire map. Or they've got the Rolling Thunder. They're trying to just basically out-shock and roll.
Drago's gonna be able to find the first here, and you know, for as tough as things started, 7-5 would be manageable here for sure. But man, you still have so much more to figure out. Kiosk Scotty on B. Here's the spike going down towards C, and we'll surely wait for the rest of the team to rotate their way. A quick change of the weapons, as it looks like Kiosk Scotty will be the one for the entry.
This is a neat idea, because they know they need a point-and-click adventure from out of Megustas. Scotty already goes down. Blade Storm to try and find those precision strikes, but Drago has been on a different level this round when his team needs him the most. Off angle is a Polioso. He's done it before, did it again. Wagyu hits the boards. Oh, then overdrive means nothing, because XC is simply a killer. They cannot get him beyond the corner, and a Polioso has work to be done.
Last one left alive. Can you secure round number 8? Gonna look to stick the defuse. Steps through the smoke, and before they can, Artie will be able to find theirs. And with his out of reach as it felt like, what was that, when it was 6-2, I think, at one point? I mean, a 7-5. Yeah, I mean, even 7-2 at one point. To be able to turn things around to a 7-5, you win the pistol in the following round being tied up. The Titans, I mean, there's still a chance.
Big chance. So, CB South showing that big life that we needed from them. Already, honestly, alongside Drago, who really started to make a reappearance into this matchup. Those two starting to snowball into some momentum for the Titans. They're going to go into their defense, but what we get from this CB South squad and this program is they love to steal space. Big vulnerability of Haven is being able to do it here out and mid. Potato Stalker finds 2 big kills, but on the fadeaway, Drago and already dropped much the same. Looks like they want to pivot, though, through Garage to C, and we're pretty separated if you're looking at the Titans.
Just for good measure, Polioso is going to be able to find one more in B. It almost caused the rotation in from Wagyu, who will actually find themselves off of sight. They'll rotate all the way back towards spawn, as they do know that there is one teammate far and wide, long away, as their fade over towards B. Still has much time to make up. Wagyu instead says, you know what, I'm going to turn the corner, and ends up paying the price for it. Wrong. The last one left alive. Last chance here for CB South. The Lower Moreland take the round and move up to 8.
Gun here.
Dangerous position right now for the Titans, because if you're able to get previous round, you're looking at the possibility of tying this up. This begins the idea of, all right, do we make a plan? Do we try to get aggressive? Do we do something that maybe the Lions are not expecting, and instead of a save, we go up into an aggressive buy? Does look like they're pivoting towards that idea in thought. Some stingers, there was a sheriff. And I think Central Bucks South want to have the arsenal to go and meet Lower Moreland off of their buy round.
This time around, they're going to be looking towards B again. The same sort of strategy we saw them with in the pistol round. And hey, you know, it worked then. Why not try and recook it? This time met with no resistance towards B. So it's going to be a quick push into the B site itself. Kiosk Scotty trying to find that trap wire will eventually pop it and be able to get back towards safety. The spike going down here on B as a recheck in towards Garage, but Wagyu wins the draw.
A little bit faster. Wagyu. Oh my goodness, that stinger shouldn't be that accurate. It was for at least a little bit, and they got a couple of consolation prizes, but it ultimately is Lower Moreland that wins the day. Now that's the problem, Q. Instead of saving, they bought to the stingers, bought to the sheriffs and the light shields and all that and more. Now you're in the pit. Lower Moreland is primed to get to 10. Central Buck South has a lot left to be done. They showed life in the last 3 rounds of that first half. Got to string together some successes here, but if they do it, it's going to be off of the back of a thrifty.
See if they can do it here. Doors go down in 2 seconds. Drago, alongside their teammate, will quickly push through the doors here at Garage. Step on through, sheriffs in hands. Warning shots let off, but that will not slow down this Lower Moreland squad. 4 of them lined up to push on to C, despite the fact that Magustas 2 might be taken down. The site control has already been taken over, complicated, and Opalioso stepped through and take 2.
That dynamic duo has been nasty. Potato Stalker knows that they can at least do a little bit of work off of the pistol. Still, too many players and too much precision weaponry to have to deal with. But Raw Long showing you can get it done Wild West style. And now they've got a weapon. Gonna be able to swing out with this? No. XZ will win the long right way. 10-5. Lower Moreland 3 off from doing what they did before in the spring.
Looking for the clean sweep. They've got themselves a good lead here. 5-round lead when they only need to win 3. I surely got to be feeling confident, but if there's anything that we know about momentum, it can be dangerous on the swing of a comeback. So the last thing you want to do is let your foot off the gas at all.
I mean, there's no ultimates to really speak of. Everything is boiled down to just solid positioning and gunplay. Artie and Drago are going to lean their way back to getting scanned out from that long position. Don't get snowballed. This is the game plan. Play for life. Don't get caught with, ability in hand. You get your man traded out just as he's putting down the smoke. XZ will get rid of Artie because of 3v3 in less than 20 seconds. Central Bug South. The only way that they can re-hit is through this link and through upper window. And simplifying the game are the Lions.
Trying to see if they can keep things simple. Kiss it up here, baby. Flag you up, however, in heaven. Looking to make a play. That's a pair. PIEA. Scotty turns it into a 1v1. We'll have to run it back. Not quite dead yet. Potato Stalker not going to be able to find those. But next time around, as PIEA Scotty rounds the corner, pop in the head and winning another round as Central Buck South moves up to 6.
Potato Stalker hit him with the demon skin as they went demon time into that. That was such a fast moment as well to try and come up onto those angles. But you know what? CB South have never been too far away, and that smoke going down just as Artie was able to see them coming up. What a boon and what a fortuitous moment. A little bit of serendipity helping out the Titans. So we're off by 4. You have a Hunter's Fury for the Lions. And you actually have some pretty impactful ultimates right now for Central Bucks because you have the Rolling Thunder to be able to retake space, maybe early denial, as well as if you find a body, you can figure out where they are with the Neural Theft.
Yeah, Neural Theft gives a lot of information, especially if you find that like in a mid to late round sort of scenario can really help, especially on the defensive side. Drago, pick up the pace. Here's the push over towards B. You mentioned that Rolling Thunder. It looks to keep them at least back a little bit and does a great job of slowing down the push onto the site.
Everyone getting waved backwards. That was so aggressive. There is definitely some personal axe to grind right now from out of the Titans. Artie is pushed all the way up. This might be a massive flank position from off of this window. I don't think that the Lions have any idea that something like this could be coming, and Artie's about to be the biggest playmaker ever.
One enemy remaining.
Artie finds mid. 2. Looking to make the play last. One left is Wagyu, and could this be the start of the comeback?
10-7. Able to preserve that B strike hit moment by using the Rolling Thunder. They did get the extra neural theft to just kind of identify everyone out there, but then now you've brought a couple of extra activated. This is where these massive AoE ultimates really kind of show their form queue, because the Nightfall can do something similar. It doesn't physically have to push them away, but it gives you great information. It weakens everyone. You go deafened. It's so tough to have to walk directly into that. Moreland is going to try and just straight up outshoot him as they bring in the tour de force. But Drago, they brought them feats, and they started running straight down at him.
And already finding one as well. It feels like already securing another round on the board for the CB South side as Long takes down Opalioso. XZ will be the last one left alive. Tour de force in hand, and well, now everyone going to be sending themselves their way. It's a flawless round for CB South as they cut this lead to 2.
10-8, CB South making it real. Possibility right in front of us. We go into a moment where Lower Moreland, they were on the lesser buy. I think they were kind of walking with some shares, maybe some middling guns, something that just really doesn't find too much. But it was Drago that was like, you know what? This is my fast lane. I'm coming at you. And so I love that the confidence has come back to that player. Drago looked like they were being basically kind of kill funneled by the Lions. As soon as they ran away from that predisposed tendency, they were making big luck for themselves.
It's like a push on to C here. Is the Hunter's Fury going to be used, and we'll be able to pick up one. Drago, however, will respond with a pair, already also picking up one. So an expensive push onto the site that buys them 0 space here, Monkey Man.
Yeah, they have the spike, so if they wanted, they could do something, but that's a fat spray. Polioso gets 3. They're getting flanked. Same thing from before. Long, playing the long game. Artie is directly on side, so if you're a Polioso, you know that you're still the rat in the bin. Wait. What comes next for him? Artie.
One enemy remaining.
They're gonna get dropped. If you're a Polioso, you hit feet on the street. You gotta run. Oh, no.
Something happened here. Polioso, however, sends out the owl drone, which gives away their location. The question is, does Long make the move? Not in time. Oh, awful timing. Clears his back, thinks he's okay, and as soon as he turns to get on site, it's exactly when the CB South player turns the corner, and now it's a 1-round game.
They knew that nothing was there any further. Artie was the last one on deck. They used that owl drone. They had an idea that maybe that they were behind that massive wall or in garage rough link. You still have so many unanswerables. Oh, a half second longer of looking back along B, and we have a different duel at least presented. This is a strong position right now here for CB South, but a couple of big picks by Polioso. They're getting theirs.
Fully pushed on the site here. They're looking to try and make a play. There's a couple of them on. Migustas too. Has the knives in hand, throws them all at, I don't know what. That's not going to be any value, and it's super unfortunate here as they will eventually fall as well to Potato Stalker. It's a 3. B3 as XZ will be able to find Wagyu. Artie finds one before getting traded out. Lower Moreland trying their darndest to move up to 11. It's all going to be left up to Potato Stalker.
The jump peak is actually a timing situation from off of Polioso. They knew if they could just keep pushing them away, letting them know where they are, they're going to make them basically a decoy. 11-9. 2 off on the Lions. A 4-round stretch. Finally, the tourniquet being applied as the thorn in the paw of these Lower Moreland Lions has been CB South Titans. Still, they are able to slow them for the moment. You have an overdrive and a nightfall. That combination is actually hecka lethal because you have so much just neutrality of space that is created, and Drago can take up the rest of it.
Move in quick and really make them uncomfortable if you have the ability to, right? Especially on a retake sort of scenario. Already taken out here by XZ. Will be Drago who will be able to trade them out here. Drago playing at the window, looking to make something happen. The fast lane used to break up all sorts of line of sight, and the push onto C has been brought to a screeching halt as well.
First 25 seconds dictating a lot of identity here into this matchup. 4-4 of Lower Moreland. play it pretty quiet. They know that basically Drago had taken up that mid space. And now Wagyu trying to take advantage of this platter play. They're not gonna expect this angle, so now providing the escape lane, Magusa's like, bro, we need to leave. We need to absolutely go. They drop a cloudburst and they're gonna get the heck out of dodge. This angle that we're prompting out from that mid garage, Ronglong just wants information, and I think he sees them walking out.
Complicated seems to be moving that way. However, the Spike and the rest of the team are moving over towards A, and well, with Complicated taking down Long, should be feeling more confident knowing they've got the numbers advantage. But wait just a moment. Potato Stalker gonna be able to get 1, 2, make it 3, and it's gonna be Wagyu who finds Complicated on the lurk as well. And that does now mean they've turned this into a 1-round game.
Potato Stalker has done some similar things that both Apolioso and Complicated have accomplished, and that's finding these just sudden resurgences of multi-kills, especially when you're not expecting some of the kit to come at you from a breach. You're stunned out. It's being stun locked if any of my Super Smash gang are out there. Just great work by Potato Stalker to not overexpose and not overlean. 17 and 5. Everyone in this is throwing haymakers, and Lower Moreland Lions in a position that they haven't been in a while, and that's seeing double digits against them, and they don't exactly have the greatest arsenal right now. So CB South, how patient can they play this?
Run the risk of seeing a tie ball game all of a sudden when Lower Moreland at one point was up, what was it, 7-2, and a lot of teams would have allowed for that to cause them to break, especially after dropping map number 1. The Titans said they ain't heard no bell, and they continue trekking forward. It does look like they've got the read on this push over towards C. The full rotate just about in, other than Artie. Yeah, Scotty will look to rotate and kind of push a little bit of pressure towards middle of Apolioso. Eventually taken down by Potato Stalker. Now again, Lower Moreland. Reverse over towards A.
I'm going to use the winged gun to take out that Prowler. Complicated as well beyond enemy lines, and they get taken down just like they were. But A side is where this entire rotation has eventually gone. Lower Moreland has the extra life. They don't have the weapons to truly support an elongated position here. They're gonna have to force some very tight angle fights as well as into their crosses. The good news for Lower Moreland, until they know it now, is everyone from Central Bucks has to walk their way through Link. They're actually running their way through Link.
One enemy remaining.
All piled up. XZ finds a couple though, and hold on a minute. Kioskati not dead yet, not needed yet, as XZ finds the ace, and that puts Lower Moreland on a map point.
Goodness gracious, an ace out from XZ. Player's done some magical stuff before, and I was thinking that maybe the Central Bucks South were in a position of advantage to try and at least mow the lawn with the faces of the Lions. But as soon as they had to reposition, it actually gave them a better angle to have to deal with this, because they became so funnel-faced into hell that they got sent there immediately, and the distraction of having to deal with the not dead yet, they just walked their way through it. But XZ was prepared. 12-10. It will require overtime by the Titans. Have to force this one to go even further.
Need to win 2 in a row just to force said overtime, and we'll see if they'll be able to lock on in. Generally speaking, we do say that Haven is more of a defensive-sided map, but that really hasn't proven, an attacker-sided map, but that hasn't really necessarily proven to be the case thus far. So, as far as for Drago, he'll keep this team at bay. It looks like there's going to be a potential full rotate towards either B or C. The only problem, though, is XZ on this lurk here on site could throw a wrench into things.
And Drago prepared. They're not going to let any trickeration from out of the Frenchman come through. So good. The point-and-click adventure from off of this operator. Now you have Apolioso on a lone island to try and get anything happening, but they can't get. They get Potato Stalker, and that's about it. 12-11 on the other side. So Lower Moreland can they deny OT, trying to do what no one has been able to do before. Well, at least not often. Is Central Bucks South to at least pause Lower Moreland.
An interesting situation to be in here now if you're Lower Moreland. Generally speaking, I would say, hey, you don't have as much pressure because you're the team that's in the series lead, right? You won map number 1. But with this goes to the point of overtime after such a comeback here from Lower Moreland or from Central Buck South. Now all of a sudden that momentum wave can be super dangerous. Heading into map number 3 if Lower Moreland can't close the door here.
Use that fast lane to try and trick him. Drago's able to get XZ. It's all going wrong. The overdrive. Unlimited power meets Scotty, and they don't know. Suddenly, every one of the Lions out of the way. And Apolioso will be the last one to drop a flawless as we go into overtime for CB South to try and send this one to game 3.
Round it was to be able to put that one onto the board. And man, oh man, to be able to force an overtime in this sort of scenario. CB South now with the challenge of trying to make this as quick as possible, Monkey Man.
See what they can do for this one. 12-12, you flip right back to the other halves, and so you put yourself in a position to have to do it all over again. But we go right back to rifles in hands. You go to CB South, finding some momentum. Lower Moreland being exposed. What can be done? Apolioso playing defense. This is where they've been up into before. The game plan for trying to deal with this is Drago getting fast, and that's exactly why you have someone trying to protect them. Apolioso finds a couple in a hurry.
That's a tough spot to find yourself in. Apolioso finding a double to start things off. Lower Moreland bouncing back in a big way to start off overtime. However, this round ain't done yet. However, Complicated's got the lurk, gonna be able to find the one, and it feels like should surely give Lower Moreland the advantage here in overtime.
We'll do so. 13-12. Was it all for naught? Can the Titans chill and force this one to try and go into a double overtime? We'll see how that one goes eventually. So Lower Moreland, weird spot right now, but they're in a spot they've been in plenty of times before in the past. This one is just with extra gameplay. Central Buck South, they have to be able to buck up. This is where they've been strong. Both teams, it's not about winning that defense. It's about being able to win that offense. And it's getting harder and harder to be able to get past them.
Gonna struggle here. Now for CB South, you gotta find a way to get not just one in a row to bring things to a tie. You'd have to win 3 in a row if you're the one to walk away victorious here. For Central Buck South, you lost that first map. It's tough here for Wagyu. First one with the challenge of holding this push at bay down here towards C. Does look like they'll be able to at least keep down Lower Moreland for now.
Clean.
Good find by Apolioso. They are on a disadvantage though, 3-4. Central Buck South. Gonna play the waiting game. It feels like they've kind of already locked them away from distance right now. They're going to use that recon darts, clear out that backside corner. They know at least someone is there. They're going to be able to get that fat spray onto Wagyu. Doesn't matter. They use the metal. They're going to be stuck behind that wall. Wagyu and Apolioso combine. Try and thin out the herd. It's a 2v2. Oh, right around the corner is XZ. One kill is a championship. Are they prepared for it? Off of the plant. They jump peek. 5 HP. Right around the corner. And we'll go double OT.
Look, I get the idea of the jump peak. You want to get a little bit of information. But if you wide swing that, you can let off a shot and just win that draw. Instead, while you're up in the air, this is such a situation.
Go into the latter portion of this second round of overtime. Central Buck South. They've got to find this one. Force us to go to Abyss. Lower Moreland. It's all about another day at the office. Playing cool, calm, and collected. Who can win their attacking round? If it's Central Buck South now, might be able to close it out and force this entire series to take one last extra step. They've played it much slower. They're not showing their hand this time, Q. Right around that long link, they did at least kind of tip the hat from out here in window. The lower Moreland isn't flexing outwards either. It's going to be about this fast lane hit. They don't get him off of this angle. And XZ, they do get traded.
And he only finds one. It's up to Artie, who also takes out Apolio. So those are the two big fraggers. And it does look like now, with Complicated being the last one left alive, going to have quite the challenge at hand. Has to find the 1v2. Hold on, finds a 1v1. Has to be able to find the heady and also get the defuse. Wrong Long, I do believe, has made their way down into hell here. Complicated. Will they be able to clear it?
Ooh, didn't see them just a pixel away. They had that hard swing. Now Central Bucks South finally winning their attacking half. Can they do it defensively? That's where the strength came in. Usually Haven is dictated by the attacker. That time around it did. Central Bucks trying to do what not many have been able to. Polioso is a 31-20 banger, but that might be all for naught, because in totality the Titans have really shown up.
Jump them.
Look at how many rounds to close things out CB South had to win. It's kind of crazy to think about, because Lower Moreland was in a dominant position in the first half. It looked like they were going to be able to complete the sweep. Now there's a chance CB South could very well force a map number 3. Lower Moreland has to be feeling the pressure, realizing that they could be looking at a fresh scoreboard in just a matter of a couple minutes.
He is an ambitious position to try and do this from. Drago is able to survive, sliding in there, a little bit of distraction. Wrong Long and Drago. It's a kill feed bonanza. A 1v1. XZ versus Wrong Long. Can he do it Division 2 and Division 1? It comes down to one-step goal, and they will do it. The defuse coming through, a double overtime dub, and that will send us all the way to a game number 3. The Titans, they are not done yet.
The nightmare is over.
Talk about a big map too. Wow. I mean, really, what more is there to say for this Central Bucks South squad? I think it was, remind me, I think it was like 7-2 at one point in the first half. You scratch and claw your whole way back. And then even when you get to overtime, you lose that first point. You feel like that's a little bit of a frustration, but to scratch and claw, to be able to put one onto the board, has to be feeling good. I think the thing that I'm a little worried about for Lower Moreland is the vibes for Apolioso and XZ. You're 2 of the top 3 in the lobby. They're on map number 2. You still walk away with an L here, Monkey Man.
I can see that, but I also feel like they're gonna take this map in stride and feel it out much more as an exhaustive moment by the Titans. Everything boiled down to these super heroic snowballing points by CB South, and so I can see your logic to that. But I also know, and you know, that Lower Moreland has such depth into their program, the amount of teams they got. I think that this has been like, okay, hey, you know what? We've been asking for a challenge to come out of our friendly foes and rivals from PIEA. Now we've got one. We're gonna be going over into a game number 3. It is Abyss, and Abyss has changed. It's the map is a little bit more dynamic. The tunneling from mid especially has, shifted a lot. And so now it's about, all right, how do we want to be able to kind of take from this? Apolioso has been the best consistently in not just the lobby, but especially onto their own squad. And I want to know how they're going to get their initiator to find the extra information necessary for the Lions to much more handedly control what has been, can we get Drago on the fast lane to really start pressing the pace and making the Lions uncomfortable from the side of the Titans?
Well, you mentioned it. We're off to Abyss here for map number 3. We wanted to see one of our Valorant championships here for our action at DeSalles, for our D1 and D2 for Colonial to go up to map number 3. Well, D1's the one that delivers. Abyss is where we're off to, and I know this is where I get to pick your brain a little bit, Monkey Man. Which who do you feel like walks away with Abyss?
Well, this is interesting. This is very, very different. Magustus is gone. Shadow Fatty has been subbed in. Oh. So is this the possibility that they're like, all right, we want to go deep into our roster. Maybe this is a ringer, or is this like an Abyss, I don't know, kind of your pocket pick, kind of your lead hitter. I want to know what comes out of that camp, because that is a complete wrinkle that we've not seen. Will they simply be over to Sinti, and do you get everyone else to be a lot more visceral? Apolioso's over to the Sova, and Scotty is onto their Clove. That's pretty par for the course. Drago is trying to keep everything super simple and just stay onto that Neon, while Potato Stalker has shifted away from being their Breach, which Breach is kind of tough to make much more impactful onto Abyss because there's so many ways to dodge around the fault line, and you have to really narrow the map, which is hard to do with how wide open this is from a Rolling Thunder. So seeing them move over though to the Yoru, because this is a big map when you really kind of expand on things, that's going to be a linchpin, I think. What do we get out of the Sinti, out of Shadow Fatty that is brand new to this matchup? Potato Stalker, how does that Yoru work?
I always get intrigued by seeing the substitution, especially this late into a series. Map number 3, are they warm? Are they going to be able to come in and make that big impact? I was also trying to think back. I don't think Lower Moreland ran a Cypher in map 1 or 2, did they?
I know they did the Deadlock with Complicated. And then they just had, didn't they just have their Cypher? Or, no, they had their Chamber. So no, so the Cypher is going to be new, which is actually good because of maybe Shadow Fatty is like just a complete, you know, more of a
Cypher one trick sort of deal.
Yeah, that, and kind of, they're like, okay, you've got the tripwires, you're going to make life difficult, you're going to get us extra information off the cam. So maybe this is something that no one else has been doing.
Going up.
Well, if we go into the pistol round, of course, to get things started off, and it feels like in a map number 3, the pistol round really ever so pivotal, as it will be Apolioso finding the first. Drago is going to be able to find a pair here, however, and that will give the advantage over to Lower Moreland, at least before PIEA. Scotty going to be able to take down Artie and turns the corner and finds Drago as well, and I think that should give Lower Moreland the space needed to be able to find the defuse.
Complicated doing exactly what I do with every single curveball when I play Phoenix. That's blind myself. Scotty is just not going to give any kind of respect to pace and space. Man, if you ever need someone that is unafraid of going and finding contact, please get a Clove main. It didn't matter if it was Bubbles in our D2 matchup or Scotty right now. It feels like any Clove is just like, yeah, you might be standing there waiting, but I'm going to kill you.
Definitely a different mentality for sure here, as we'll have to keep an eye over on PIEA Scotty moving forward. 3K to get things started off in round number 1 that will put them at the top of the leaderboard here for Lower Moreland. They'll continue to look to try and lock things down the defensive side. Looks like this time around for the Titans, could be looking for a low and slow approach through mid.
It has changed, in case no one heard me before, but they made it much more accessible to be able to get to that mid-library wall stack.
Yeah.
Oh, double tap through it with XZ. But you can actually go right up into that low lane, and that's exactly what they're going to do, because XZ is kind of in a no-escape position. Drago won't get a chance to try out their new Outlaw because Complicated will throw a bullet straight through them. They do the same thing with another teammate. 2 versus 3, make it 4. Artie will land a couple of sincere shots. You gotta know that they're just off of this corner. Do they not get the comms that Artie went over to this lane?
Locations revealed. Someone turn around for me, please. PIEA Scotty eventually going to be able to take them down. But it does end up making that round a little more costly than it needed to be. We'll have to see if that's something that comes back to like bite them a little bit later on in the round.
Both these things have shown us that not much changes until after maybe the 6th round, but still though, you know, comm's got to be up. And I can't imagine that was anyone, because you just changed your sub over into this. So, you know, discipline still has to be there for the Lions. We're gonna get some rifles from out of the Central Bucks. They're playing this very spread. Spike is leaned towards B, and that's a solo hold right now by Complicated. Whereas you have a triple push out from main at A. So they were hoping to kind of meet further contact, or at least take over some of the space, get that ult orb and run away. But now you're showing the versatility of really kind of moving around this map. They see nothing in mid, they see nothing in A. I mean, you have to think that you know where this plant is happening.
Eventually, the call will come in for the rotation over towards B. The only problem is they'll have 5 Titans that they're going to have to slay on their way towards taking this spike and defusing it. Complicated will be able to find the first, but Drago will eventually trade them out and does leave the last 3 kind of all grouped up together. First one that they'll have to worry about will be Artie, who will be able to take down XZ and is right on the other side of the smoke, or sorry, other side of the fast lane.
They've also created a rafter in this site as well, so Artie is in a very defensible position. 4 should be able to survive, and they will do so. Central Buck South, they just simply play the opposing hand that the Lions were not prepared for. They had maybe 1 person. No, they had 2 on that main lane of A, but that spike was leaned and readied as soon as Drago cleared sight from B. And then you had the early kickover to move their Phoenix from B over towards mid, and that was just the wrong move from off of lower Moreland. So Central Bucks fitting in the spaces provided by the Lions.
Off to round number 4, rifles in play now over onto that Lions side of the server. However, it is still a couple of half shields, not full investment quite on it. They weren't quite able to afford it. Complicated. The judge, the jury, the executioner are going to be able to find Potato Stalker and put them down. It stalls this first initial push, and now Balioso finding Artie in mid really leaves Central Buck South scratching their heads.
Drago at least gets a kickback, and there's no longer at least a sentinel trying to keep you at bay and at large with a whole bunch of gadgets on the ground. But Drago, no one else is peeking their head. They know that one player at least out from this lane had a judge, and they don't want to take on a close quarters fight. Jump peek. Drago does not want to deal with that. So showing themselves a little bit. This spike has transitioned though over towards A. Drago's trying to reconvene with his teammates. It's about XZ. Great off angle. Wagyu is very hurt. They could be able to take this one quickly.
One enemy remaining.
Oh man, Drago just steps right on through with some confidence, and Wagyu will be taken down by Complicated. Lower Moreland, relatively clean round, going to be able to carry 4 over into round number 5. That's a good place to be in as they continue to stack up their bank.
That was a tough one too, because I mean they didn't really kind of full sweep look around. They looked upwards towards that nest side of that A site, and they thought, okay, I want to cover down this lane while my teammate and Wagyu was planting, but kind of do a full sweep. You need to check kind of around that they would have seen XZ, but you know, unfortunately that's all about timing and all about the smoke. You kind of get smoke fatigue. You're like, all right, I need to push out this, and then you just cover this hard angle. So too much tunnel vision. So far so good from the Lions. They've got the they have 7 lives available right now.
Crazy when you put it into perspective like that, isn't it? But it is indeed true. Between the 2 ults available at their disposal, unfortunately, you've already lost one. Olioso will be able to find one. So does Kioskati as Potato Stalker gets traded out. Kioskati will at least find the first of those extra lives that you were talking about. Question is, are they going to be able to find a kill to keep themselves alive? They are able to do so against Wrong Long. And Artie kind of off all by themselves in an awkward spot here.
They were trying to pick up the spike, but they also didn't want to overexpose where they were getting that spike. So they decided to walk away from it, not let them know that they were very nearby. And then they came back to use their ultimate to grab it. Oh, we got to win this fight, though. Great idea. Gun goes down. Now the spike is right back where it was, but Wagyu was already there to punish Complicated. It was a very complicated moment for Artie, but you know what? They came out with the dub.
Rifles have come into play. 2 of the 3 rounds have gone in favor of Central Buck South. As that may be an indication that this thing's starting to turn around just a little bit more. It's only a 1-round game for now. And while we did see a couple of those ults disposed of in that last round, CB South still has a couple that they will be able to use if they do so. Please, we've been seeing them really trying to pick up the pace with that neon like you've been talking about. There's a chance that Drago breaks out the magic fingers.
Yeah, they've got the Bucky, so they're gonna try and isolate this fight by going over into the ventilation shaft, and that's a very narrow position as overdrive is in fact activated. Gotta consider that those fast feet of Flurry are coming through. See if they'll at least apply some pressure. They've got yet another Bucky to work with as well. The dimensional drift is giving them some ideas, and they're gonna hit it with the old buckshot.
Shadow Fatty found 2, make it 3 as Lower Moreland put themselves up onto a 4th round. Here in map number 3, it definitely feels like they've gotten back into their controlling ways, but of course, help but wonder as far as for Central Bucks if they feel more confident over on that defending side.
That was actually Shadow's first kills of the game, all 3 of them coming into that round number 6. You're subbed in for multiple reasons, whichever reasons they may be. Megustas just maybe they didn't want the double duelist, or at least them to be kind of flexed out. And if you need a purist when it comes to your Cypher, it kind of works out. So good position for them. They're gonna use that Hunter's Fury. Polioso already getting Wagyu. It's a tough funnel to have to deal with, and you're also tagged by the tripwire. They can't quite land on target. A Polioso again doing a Polioso things as they just stuck here in Maine. Oh, wrong long was hoping for the shot in the back of the head.
Trying to find it before snapping away, couldn't quite. PIEA Scotty will eventually take down wrong long. Lower Moreland seem to be cruising here for now as, well, it does seem like they continue to have the control. I think the big thing that's really standing out to me is that a majority of their rounds have been won from just straight fragging. They're not having to worry about the retake to find the defuse. They're just winning theirs, which makes me feel more confident to when they switch over to the attacking side.
This is exactly the identity that is Abyss. A lot of this map is traversing it. And we talk about some maps where like, oh yeah, it's hard to get through this funnel point. This is a huge map in comparison to so much of what we see with like Bind, with Haven, and when you have to go through so much of this open space, often it burns down to some of these just key frag fights. And when you can't quite get back to site, I'm not surprised. So Drago, I mean, you see it in this duel right now, just keeping them long in distance. They're gonna reconvene. They're hoping to maybe drag Shadow Fatty away, but Shadow Fatty's set up in their Fortress of Solitude here on B.
Disciplined and realizing their assignment. They're supposed to stay over here at B. They've got all that utility. Artie pushes across, going to be able to take care of the tripwire, and Potato Stalker going to be able to take down Complicated. CB South have completely taken over the B site. The spike going down here in just a moment. Wagyu will be able to find a Polioso in the mid, but a Polioso wins the draw. You mentioned a Polioso doing a Polioso things. Can they pull out the clutch here in the 1v3?
Footsteps are going to get heard, and you have someone buried deep into this corner off of this Raptors position. The Polioso is going to try and scan him out with that recon dart. Wrong long is just not going to be seen, especially from this box position. They see some footsteps, but Wrong long, I mean, that's such a tricky angle to have to work with. I love that they added these boxes. This used to be an overexposed platitude because you'd have like a long stack, you jump on top of it, and you have to hard peek around. The adaptation to really allow someone to kind of traverse in the middle of that courtyard and then get underneath, it allows the attackers, once they've been there, to now make life so difficult for the defense.
I really like how it allows the extra play for the whether it's the defense initially or the retake from the offense, kind of like what we had just saw on that last round there. As we do get ready to go into round number 9, CB South still hanging around and keeping themselves in the thick of it for sure. But it has still felt like throughout the course of the 8 rounds that Lower Moreland have been the ones in control. Living life in the fast lane, moving at the speed, and they can't slow down as Drago. They're not going to be able to find a frag house. They just run right to their own demise. Wrong long has a tour de force. They'll be able to turn this into a 3v3.
Hunter's Fury available, but look how they're going to reposition because this spike is heading to B. You've drawn over the rotation from off of A, but what's interesting is towards A, but because they didn't maintain contact, you have the rotation pulling right back. XZ would find anyone, and the last golden bullet I think is available, so they know that there's only maybe one left after all the extra firefight that happened before, and the Titans simply outlast from this buried position.
XZ finds an important one, leaves it to just Potato Stalker. Hold on a moment, finds 2, but go Shoddy. It's your birthday. Complicated. Gonna be able to find. Wait, was that from all the way over there?
I think that did they use their run it back and then
Oh,
well that's for how
that was a shorty, right? Like that
It
was
said
a shorty. Okay.
What?
You know what? I ain't gonna ask no questions. We'll just keep moving on forward. Lower Moreland up to 6 here. They've at least guaranteed themselves a share of the lead, and I don't know, maybe threw the shorty at him. I'm not exactly sure, but either way, it is up to 6.
Yeah, we'll check that one out somewhere else. That was wild. Complicated has an operator. All right. Well, they've been out in mid. This is a pretty telegraphed position to do it from. This is where a lot of that longer contact has occurred from.
Who's next?
For the first time in what feels like forever, we're getting a regular march into B.
Shadow Fatty trying to find their way to safety. Potato Stalker is going to be able to at least pinpoint their location. We'll send out the flash out that way before also stepping across. The only problem is they turn the corner. There's 5 players right in their sight, and well, they're gonna have to retreat back.
Run it back does go down, so your extra life is gone. So you have all 5 players available here for the Lions. XZ knows that someone's down underneath this position. Wagyu and already taking care of business. The operator does at least find contact as a trade occurs. It's a 3-2 now advantage. That shorty continues to put in absolute shifts at the office. Can they get enough healing? They need to do just enough to maybe get this defuse off.
Last player standing.
The defuse getting stuck. Wrong Long finds one. Apolioso just looking to stick it completely. It's a bold decision. However, Potato Stalker jumps on in the nick of time and going to be able to put a 4th round on the board for CB South.
Potential to go 6-6, especially with this current buy, not exactly mega strong from out of the Lions. You have the not dead yet, and the Hunter's Fury for the denial of pure defaults and being able to stay there for a little bit longer. But also, if they lose this round, I mean, they'll be on some extra loser creds, but it's not a great look here, Q, for Lower Moreland. This one can potentially run it up and be a tie before the end of the first half.
Scary position to be in. Again, remembering that the CB South squad was able to put quite the comeback into their back pocket to be able to force a map number 3. Drago with the slide and the shot to be able to take down Shadow Fatty before getting traded out. Artie also going to be able to take down Apolioso, which means one of the top dogs now off of the table. Spike going to go down. And that clock starts ticking down for Lower Moreland.
2 big hot shots from out of XC. He did use one good lightning bolt for another one. They're going to try and cover this one with fire and flame. Complicated is literally just going to full on try and defuse this one, but shock darts, it is an elemental power battle. Is everyone the avatar? A 2 versus 1. Scotty gets 1, but Scotty don't know. Wagyu will send us to the last round of the first half.
Last round in
Got
the
that
half.
fighting them over on that Central Bucks South side, looking for what would be a 4th conference championship here in the fall, and what fashion to round it out in as well, for the comeback in map number 2 to force a map number 3. And kind of a comeback you could call of sorts as of for now. Of course, there's still some time to tell how the second half pans out, but honestly, I'm loving the fight we're seeing from CB South.
Fantastic work from both ends. Honestly, both these programs, both these teams, everyone leaving on the table. CB South not to be denied. The comeback mentality and the resiliency that we're getting from these kids is fantastic. Overdrive ready to go. They don't want to squander it. Might in fact activate it right now if they're able to get one. Potato Stalker kills Apolioso. That is a massive player to get off the board.
Big one here to get early as you still are out mid-round here. Now it's going to be up to Shadow Fatty along with Kiosk Scotty in a 2v4. If they want to prevent Central Buck South from tying this thing up at the half, Drago holding down the corner and will be able to take down Kiosk Scotty. Not dead yet, they say, but right in their face is Drago. We'll be able to use the overdrive to secure that one. Looking to stick this spike is Shadow Fatty, but everyone's spraying through, and we're tied up at 6 at the half.
Poor Shadow Fatty's like, my cyber cage. I just came into this game. Don't look at me. All right. Regardless, we are left with the possibility of needing us to either go 12 rounds into an OT or 7. Somewhere between 7 and 12. It's either bonus distance of Valorant or a championship to be had. CB South, Central Bucks, trying to take absolute vengeance over the Lower Moreland Lions from what happened in the spring, getting 13-3'd twice. State championship ripped from their faces with laughter all along. Titans got to now find their defense in good form.
Starting off with a pistol round here. XZ playing aggressive around the corner and will eventually fall on back and group up with the rest of the squad, as they do actually have the rest of their team kind of scouting out towards B. There's no one over there. The call for the rotate will come in, especially as PIEA Scotty able to find the plant.
Already falls out, as they were at least present to kind of hear the move up through that large pillar and low rafter position. So firewall up, and then Complicated has been living a different life ever since they moved over to being this duelist. Feels like this is really a tough one to have to handle from them. Potato Stalker aiming for that sheriff to find value, and Complicated making things easy.
Nothing complicated about that so far. Now going to turn the corner. Has a right click available. That's the 3K, a flawless round, and Lower Moreland back in the lead.
Got the pistol first time, or they got the pistol on this one in round 1, and now in round 13 they get it again. So good starting kit. We saw what happened that last time around. I think it was a 5-2 before the march back occurred for the Titans. So Lions love a good start off as Complicated, 13-7. And I was wondering about how this Phoenix would kind of activate, and they've done very well onto this Abyss. Feels like they provide such great flashes from off of the curve balls, able to cover some great angles from off of their firewalls. This is a full gamble, save one. They're gonna try and even the odds by having the numbers.
Well, 3v3 now, as both teams have been able to find two. Complicated finds one with the shotgun before getting traded on out, and it does mean for Central Bucks South. It's all left to wrong. Doves have the headhunter in hand, those golden bullets. Might be able to find a little something here. But they do got to make sure that they can clear every corner, and also they now are challenged with the defuse as well.
3 guns off the table, though, is a really nice consolation prize. Oh, Apolioso, primed and ready. Solid angle hold, especially with that Guardian. So, good looks by Lower Moreland to not let that one go away. Even more, or in the same stride as Central Bucks South, making sure that 3 fall off of the board and have to get some rebuys occurring. They're going to have their rifles, but look how many rifles are actually out here. Because of the rebuys, they've decided, you know what? It's time to put Vandals in hands.
Can't blame them. Might as well while you're out here. And as far as for Lower Moreland, you know what's interesting as far as this tightly contested matchup? They have won both pistols and both follow-up rounds, and only a 2-round advantage. Is that maybe going to be what separates these two squads? For Central Bucks South, we saw them start to make the turn as the rifles came out. They look to do the same thing on the defensive side. For now, Lower Moreland, they're not going to be overly aggressive here in round number 3. They are going to look to group back together and head over towards A and see if they can set something up in A main.
Deeply entrenched into this back corner. You have a Folioso ready to kind of guide them there as they think that someone's all the way in the back corner, and they've read it very well. Complicated gets rid of Long immediately, so that rendezvous is not going to be an issue. They're going to try and guide their way up into top nest. And XC, I mean, they're reading this like it's a pamphlet at the doctor's office, and there's plenty of crayons to be able to circle the right answers for all the little puzzles. It's a 5-1 Central Bucks South. They've got Drago in a corner, the dragon in the den, and they're stealing all the riches.
Gonna be all up to Drago. Complicated turns the corner. It's another flawless round here for Lower Moreland as they now put themselves up to 9. And more importantly than anything, breaking the economy of CB South as they look to quickly turn 9 into 10, putting themselves up on the double digits. And I know we just saw Central Bucks South pull off a pretty impressive comeback in map number 2. Lower Moreland seems to be on another level of locked in right now, though.
That goes there.
They shifted away from Megustus, who seemed to be kind of a duelist, kind of subject matter expert. Now they have Shadow Fatty over to being their Cypher. Apparently not really many on their team play into that Cypher. So they decided, okay, we got to have a different mindset, a different idea. Complicated is just running it up. They put down wrong long. That's a nice trade out, though, as Complicated gets stolen away. Remember, this is a thrifty from out of the CB South squad. They do have at least one rifle picked up. 3 versus 1. Fatty by themselves against the world.
Tough spot to be in. You mentioned the 1v3 and all sorts of utility getting sent their way here. We'll have the cage to at least break line of sight for now. We'll step on through, and Artie is able to put them down. That's going to be a big round here for Central Buck South. You mentioned the thrifty for CB South. When it looked like things were starting to get out of hand to start the second half, they would put themselves right back in the winning ways.
And not just a thrifty, but also 3 rifles taken from Lower Moreland.
Yeah.
So you're able to get some fat upgrades and some extra cash that was so necessary for them not to get into a backwards tumble against Lower Moreland, who takes advantage of snowball situations, especially in economy moments just like that. So Lower Moreland, off of their attack, it feels like they're much more reactive and, well, actually proactive from their defensive standpoint. Central Buck South, they've been comfy, but sitting on these deeper angles. They just threw a decoy.
Oh,
it's a little weird.
I definitely saw it going off the edge. I was like, guys, not like this, not on Abyss. I know that it has the edge, but come on, guys. Potato Stalker trying to find Complicated, but can't. Wrong long. Artie, both will find theirs. Central Buck South are looking to secure themselves an 8th round.
Last player standing. Spike
Looks like that's probably going to happen too, because that spike is in a weird spot here for Apolioso, and Apolioso has too many players and too many angles that have to cover. Trying to isolate some of them. Might be able to do it, but Drago, great, fantastic follow-up. We are nearly all tied up. What was an eco advantage before for the Lions.
I'm out of here.
Well, now this is going to come down to a rifle round. Heavy expenditure. And you got 7K in the bank for at least a couple of players at one point. So buys being shared around, and CB South, after this one, they might be rich.
If they can pull off this round, they will be in a phenomenal spot. You win 2, well, then all of a sudden you're talking about broken econ over on that Lower Moreland side while you have the lead and you're at double digits as well. We're at those meat and potato rounds, 18 through 20, where games really can be won or lost. It will be Apolioso who will be able to fall on back to safety, as they will wait to see if Central Buck South's aggression might be punished, but instead the discipline being shown as they'll retreat back to site.
I gotta wonder what they're trying to do with Shadow Fatty, maybe to kind of posture him up towards that vent. Ooh, good find, and this is actually an eco ultimate that's being utilized, and they might be able to get a triple kill from one more. They're gonna chase it down. They throw a right click, doesn't finish it off. They do have the Bucky, and that's a deep angle to have to go and get things happening, but they've got a Vandal instead. Everyone is afraid of XZ. I would be too. I am, and I'm not even playing the game right now.
I like the aggressive play to find the Vandal and then just quickly steps right on back. Now at this point, CB South has no information on XZ. They've got to really make sure that they're approaching with caution, and they are on a timer. The spike being down. Shot's gonna be let off from XZ over towards the direction of Wagyu. They won't quite find their connection, but now that does let Kioscotti know that they gotta be looking up high. The only problem, Potato Stalker behind them, and will be able to put them down. They'll run it back here from Complicated as they look for a first peek around the corner, as they'll be put down, and XZ looking to put themselves into the picture. Wagyu able to slay that one. I think it's enough time that's been taken from Complicated, and clutch on the board from Lower Moreland as they put themselves up to 10.
Such a smart way to use the running back. Complicated is not running forward into contact. They were simply staying off of that wall angle, and even with their teammate going down, there was a moment of mental lapse that occurred from the Titans. They knew they were still around that corner. They had gotten rid of Apolioso, and then all focus went to Nest. But that showed the impact that XZ also has because of that kill that came up. So CB South, it's tough to split the responsibility as well as the focus. It's just like having to run a defense in football. Sometimes you have your zones and you have your man, and sometimes it all gets complicated because you feel like you can make that play happen when you didn't need to.
Shadow Fatty's gonna be able to find the first pick here in round 19. However, XZ will be taken down, and if I had to pick one or the other, it feels like XZ getting taken down does create a little bit more of a disadvantage for this lower Moreland squad. Wagyu will not be able to find anything off of the Hunter's Fury, and eventually will be taken down by PIEA Scotty. We do have a 3v3 for the retake.
Two big ultimates for the post-plant hold. An extra life and some electricity that goes through the wall that will protect Apolioso. Scotty is directly on site, knowing that they could scrap with him.
One enemy
We get one. Pick me up. And this one's done and dusted. Artie's by themselves, and now they hold the weight of the world. 11-8. Lower Moreland in another fantastic position of advantage. I feel like we've seen this one before, Q.
Yeah, it definitely feels like deja vu all over again. The question becomes, can they change the script and walk away victorious this time around? We saw what happens if they allow us to go to overtime. Surely that thought looming in the back of their mind here, Monkey Man. They realize they've got to clutch it up now.
2 rounds out from being your fall champs. 2 rounds out from doing a little bit further, but the same. What they did in the spring. Your defending state champions trying to continue this hierarchy and this state of holding the crown. Already getting in and getting out. And Scotty surviving with just enough to make that trade.
Overhealed, so they have a little bit of extra health. Oh, nice place to be able to put the flash, and I don't think it was enough to be able to prevent the death, but Keon Scotty looks to add a second. Not dead yet, but they will be chased down by Potato Stalker. That does mean Central Buck South now to 9.
That fight, everything was just funneled at main. Not much else had to happen. It was all about that initial kind of cut out angle from, I believe it was Artie, who had teleported in and away, and then so much. You talked about it before. It just ends in these frag offs. Like, who's able to actually just find those initial duels? And I mean, this map is a tough dissection of being able to rotate because none of it seems super like described and telegraphed of where you got to go. Hunter's Fury, that one's getting busted out. That's from the attack to just kind of clear out some space, and they actually get a kill from it. Ronglong and Artie by XZ goes down.
That's going to be huge. Big openings for Lower Moreland, and since they were over towards the way of B, they're actually going to focus over towards A, as XZ does also get an additional pick as well. Question now, with the last 2 players left alive from CB South, they get themselves the right call. Complicated going to be able to take down Drago, and that does mean Wagyu, the last chance for the Titans.
Get one.
Planted.
And now you have 3 players that all know exactly where you're coming from. Can't really make that long run flank. There's only one spot, and as long as you have this covered on cross, you can just delay. If I'm Wagyu, I think of saving. Really, that's not what they want to do. They want to be a hero. Complicated. We'll send this one to 0. All right, triple match point for Lower Moreland.
Match point.
Central Bucks South. They've been in this tough position before. Can they do it again?
Well, this is going to be tough because I don't think they're going to be able to fool by here. They might be able to get rifles into every hand. No, actually not even that much. It might have to be the Stinger in the hand of Drago, but not just that. No one is going to have only one full shield over in the hands of Potato Stalker. It's going to be an uphill climb for the squad. Maybe, just maybe the overdrive can be enough for Artie to pop something off with that, but for Drago, but otherwise you're in a tough spot.
Running back. Fast lane's up. We're gonna at least get rid of one. No, keeping the discipline. They walk through.
No.
Will that undo them? Drago and already falling. Potato Stalker trying to do what they can. They get some at least wallbang damage onto XZ. Wagyu will find a kickback just before they hit the ground. It's a 2v3. The Neural Theft is available. Complicated is taking the high ground. This plant is off, and now the Neural Theft will tattletale on the Titans.
It's tough here. Both of their locations going to be given. And now you have to try and find a way to make your move. Despite the fact that you're flash, Potato Stalker is going to be able to find the one. But now it's all a matter of time, and it will be Shadow Fatty and XZ both finding theirs respectively. And it will be Lower Moreland, the Lions, who will roar here as your conference champions.
Doing it on Abyss, one of the toughest places to have to get the job done. But it doesn't matter if they went high, if they went low. The day was won by Lower Moreland. The top two in the lobby, at least on the kill feed action for ACS, was already in Wagyu. But look at the next four. That's the difference in your score. In totality, Lower Moreland got scared away and taken down in double OT of game 2. But the job was completed in game number 3. Shouted over to the Titans, but I mean, Lions looking like the complete package, especially bringing in the specialist on that Cypher with Shadow Fatty to round out the end.
Love to see them being able to bring in the extra player, get a little bit of extra experience, and walk across the finish line over on that Lower Moreland side. Yeah, it would have been nice to see Central Bucks South be able to secure their 4th conference championship, but I'm sure for Lower Moreland, for their varsity squad, D1, to get the redemption for little bro, has to have them feeling pretty darn good as well. And well, just like that, Monkey Man, we're done and dusted for PIEA for the fall. All of our conference champions have been crowned, and well, it's time for now a little bit of a break until the spring.
It's going to be just a little bit. I think we start back somewhere around February. Don't quote me on that, please. But either way, I can't wait to see all these programs continue to find what they established here in the fall, move over from the cold and into the blossom of spring competition. And that's where we know a lot of those big changes also occur. You get all the students moving through their academics. You get the parents going, you know what? This is exactly why you continue to play the game and you continue to practice working with your teammates. And it's really cool to see all of that happen. And so love what we got from DeSales, from the land, and from all these teams showing up and showing out. And Q wouldn't have done it with anyone else. If they sat someone else beside me, I'd be like, give me Q. Where's he at?
Always an absolute blast with you, Monkey Man. Of course, you and I, we do have the easy job. We got to make sure we're giving a big shout out to our producer in the background, pressing all the buttons, Nick NCS, doing a lot of work to make sure everything happens, not just during our championship weekend, but from week to week. I mean, honestly, one of the goats in the background, one of the unsung heroes. So whenever you see him in the server, make sure you give him a big old high five. And now we do have our long little break before spring. Not only do you have the spring semester, though, you've got state championships at the end of that thing, too, which is what everyone will have their eyes set on. We appreciate y'all for hanging out with us here in the fall. Until we do catch y'all back for the spring, man, don't forget, with everything crazy going on in the world today, be true, be you, be sincere, game hard and love hard. All right, y'all, that's Monkey Man. I'm Q. For the rest of the crew here from the front to the back, y'all have a great rest of your week. Peace.